Hello, I'm Brenda, and today on The Healing Power of Story, I'm going to do a memoir review on the really popular memoir, Educated by Tara Westover. Now, just a quick reminder, I do memoir reviews so that we can learn not necessarily about the memoir, but what the memoir can teach us about writing and about memoir writing in particular. There are a lot of basics about writing that are the same across genres. So it doesn't matter what genre you write, it's actually good to read a great variety of genres. But if you are wanting to write a memoir, read a lot of memoirs. It will help you to kind of find traction on things and key elements that one needs to know or choices one has in writing a memoir. So let's get started with Educated. I'm going to deal just really with two elements, maybe three if there's time allows, on this actual memoir. But if you're wanting to know more detail and there's greater depth in my blog post, which I've linked down below, there's a link to my blog posts so you can read more there. But with regard to this memoir, I'm going to answer that question, a common question I ask: what hooked me in the first chapter? If we want to keep our readers reading, we should hook them in the first chapter, if not the first line. And I would have to say, unfortunately, nothing. I found it very hard to gain traction with this book. I found it really hard to find my way. And honestly, it started on the first page, in the first paragraph or two, where Tara Westover describes a story, a scene in the story of being surrounded by feds, her family, and a shootout and all sorts happening. And I'm going, whoa, what's happening here? And then she mentions that it didn't really happen. And I'm thinking, now, is this true or isn't this true? Did this happen? Didn't this happen? I was confused. And so for the rest of the time that she wrote, I'm like, now, is this true or isn't this true? Did this happen? Didn't this happen? And that threw me off. It really did. But if you go to my blog post, there's a great comment from a reader that really explains what was happening for me. And I agree with her because I actually sensed that myself. And it actually is a brilliant piece of writing. So have a look and see what that does. And if you actually read the memoir, if you agree with it. The other thing I found happening with Tara Westover's writing, which is why it took me so long to get into it, is her writing style. I found her writing style to be very detailed, rather lengthy and descriptive. I personally prefer short, pithy, succinct writing styles. That's my preferred way of writing. It's how I wrote my memoir, When God Says No. And so I struggled to find traction with her book. In fact, if it wasn't so well known, if I wasn't wanting to do a memoir review for my channel on this, I would have put the book aside and not gone back to it. But I pressed on thinking the fault is probably with me because everybody else seems to love this book. So when did I get hooked? It was actually a slow burn romance. I got hooked really slowly. There was no particular moment when I got hooked. But I started to find my stride. I started to understand the mental illness in her family. I started to work with her writing style. And I got traction and I got going. It was when she got to part 2 and she goes to college that my life and her life really overlapped. And that's what we're looking for, is finding a way for our reader to see themselves in our story. And so my life overlapped with hers when she went for college. Up until then, I had been having a foreign experience in a foreign land and I just didn't fit. But then later, when she went back to visit her family, I had a better handle on things and it all worked much better. And I was reading the book now, not just forcing myself to, but actually engaged, wanting to know the outcome, really feeling and identifying with Tara instead of just feeling sorry for her. And so that also leads me to another comment about her book. We need themes in our book, in our writing, and every book has a theme. Obviously, her theme is educated in the title. Sorry about that. So obviously her theme is educated in the title, and another theme is belonging. She has a really strong sense of belonging in her writing. And it comes down to the fact that she needed to belong to her family. We all have a desire and a need to belong to our families. But belonging to her family came at a cost, a real cost of mental illness, dysfunction, and she had to choose belonging over not belonging. And that becomes a real challenge for her. But it's not just in her family where she has to choose belonging or not belonging. When she goes to college, it really highlights to her that she doesn't belong, that she comes from a survivalist family, that everybody else knows some of the common courtesies of life that she doesn't know, that everybody understands some common knowledge that she doesn't have. And she really senses this not belonging. When she goes to Cambridge to study further, the same thing. She really senses that she doesn't belong. Yes, she's smart, she's clever, she's getting educated, but within herself, she doesn't feel that she belongs. And it becomes this whole journey for her of finding out what it is to belong, where she belongs, how she belongs, and what it's going to cost her to belong. She and her siblings have to choose belonging to their dysfunctional family and what it costs, or belonging to, or not belonging actually to their dysfunctional family and choosing to belong elsewhere, choosing to not belong. And it becomes at a price for her. It comes at a price to stay, it comes at a price to go. And so I think that is such a crucial theme of this book, that if she didn't choose the story Educated as her title, she could have chosen Belonging. And the last comment I'll make on this book, which I thought was really outstanding and we all need to be aware of, is Tara Westover is raised as a Mormon, and a lot of what she shares is a comment as well on her Mormon upbringing and her Mormon faith that she was raised in. And at no point does she choose to smear her Mormon faith. No point is she pointing fingers at that faith. At no point is she making it a downfall for anybody. So I raise this all to bring to your attention that that is a key ingredient of memoir writing, to not actually smear anybody, not our families, which she never does, and even though she writes hard things, and not anything with regard to a religious institution. So those are the 3 points I bring today on this memoir review. I highly recommend it. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the book. If you had some similar experience as me, or if yours was completely different, let me know down below. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.